Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. I'm really glad you could join us. So today we're talking about some of the most upcoming things that you need to know about, including blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. And with us is one of the most foremost experts on this, somebody that put a lot of education in this space, teaching people, just like you and I, how this works and how you can actually monetize monetize with it. So with us today is Robert Crypto Beadles. Now, Robert's a Christian father, husband, successful serial entrepreneur, seasoned business builder, prominent blockchain and cryptocurrency educator on TV, YouTube, TradingView Sessions, and throughout the world. Now, Robert is responsible for growing one of the largest construction service businesses in California. And between all his companies, he's been responsible for more than 100 million from startups, software development, real estate investments, and more. Now, Robert is the builder and co-founder of the Monarch Wallet and Monarch Pay and is a member of the C4 Crypto Consortium. Now, he's an avid believer in cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, and offers some of the most in-depth, educational, unique, and insightful content available on these topics. He has 3 black belts in martial arts, has authored 2 books, and is a philanthropist as well. Robert, thanks for coming to the show today.
Thanks for having me. That was a lot, man.
Man, you've done a lot. I mean, 3 black belts. What are those in?
Oh man, I started when I was really small, man. So you got Kempo, got Goju-Ryu, got Shoshu. So been in it since I was just a wee little bug. And my last name's Beadles, so everybody just calls me Beadles. And like I said, I've been doing it since I was a little kid. So
that's cool, man.
Yeah,
well, that's good.
Thanks
to know.
for
I'm
having
not
me.
much of a drinker, but if I go out drinking, I'm going to take you with me just to protect you. So let's start with the beginning. I mean, so many people are still not familiar with what blockchain and crypto is. So let's start there. Tell us a little bit more about what blockchain technology really is.
I mean, so when you're looking at blockchain, most people think of Bitcoin, right? So that's pretty much kind of where it started back in 2009 when Satoshi Nakamoto, this person, this group of people, nobody really knows who they are or who this person is. And basically, when you look at Bitcoin, it's kind of a decentralized blockchain, which basically means that no one person controls it. So you're looking at essentially this network that's run by a ton of different people or a ton of different computers. It could be one person that has 50 computers or 50 people that have one computer. But the common thread here is that they're all running the same software. And so they're distributing this network across all these different computers that are all running the same code, that are all keeping track of the same transactions. So that way, not only is it really good for security, because think about it, in the news you hear about these big credit companies and all these banks getting hacked all the time and leaking our information, to the dark web or to these nefarious hackers. But with things like blockchain, that makes it very difficult, especially if it's decentralized, to where this information is spread out across, these hundreds or thousands of computers that these hackers would have to basically simultaneously or instantaneously hack, at least, 50-60% of them to basically create this data breach. And so the security is the big part of the blockchain. Then you have, like, for decentralized blockchains, like I was saying, where it's controlled basically by the people, there's this immutability factor. So that means that people can't change the data. So if you have your information on a private server, you can basically change it and distort it however you want, for good or for bad. But with like Bitcoin, you can't really do that. It's immutable. So the transactions that take place, you can check them all the way back from January 4th of 2009 to today, right now, current time. You can see all the different transactions, who was paid, who received money. And so it creates this transparency, and then it creates the immutability, so you can't change or alter those records. And it does a lot of great things. And so you're hearing about, like, the Federal Reserve coming out with their own cryptocurrency. So think of the blockchain as like a business. Think of the cryptocurrency as kind of like a stock. You've got like the Federal Reserve coming out with their own cryptocurrency. You got like China coming out with their own cryptocurrency. You got Facebook that's in crypto. You've got HSBC that ran like $250 billion or something through their own blockchain. So more and more people are accepting blockchain. They're getting into it. The big companies that you thought for maybe were just regular software are now in blockchain as well. So this is pretty much like the beginning of the internet of sorts. I know we're 10 years in with Bitcoin, 11 years in, but you're seeing everybody start to really adopt this, and where we're going to be going in the future is really, really exciting. I mean, we can kind of dive into, what makes it super exciting, but that's just kind of like the basics, so we don't go too deep and just really confuse people.
And I definitely want to talk about the future. And you tied right into cryptocurrency. And I want to talk about both because I think you can have blockchain technology without cryptocurrency, but it's most associated with cryptocurrency. So what is cryptocurrency and how does cryptocurrency work?
Gotcha. So when you look at the Bitcoin blockchain, that's kind of like, I don't know, the software, the code. And then you've got the actual cryptocurrency that is kind of like this utility of sorts. It's the digital money part of it, right? So think of it as, kind of like your bank, and then think of it as kind of like the money inside the bank, right? So you can have a blockchain without cryptocurrency, but for this, purpose, most people associate cryptocurrency with blockchain. And crypto, there's several different types. So you have a cryptocurrency that is like a stable coin or a stable token, which basically means that cryptocurrency is backed by about $1 worth of assets. It could be US dollars, it could be, some type of basket of currencies outside of crypto. And they're saying that this cryptocurrency right here is backed by $1 worth of value. So you got these stable coins and stable tokens. Then you have like utility cryptocurrencies. And so these utility coins, they're essentially like, think of them as like Starbucks credits, to where, like you could get a discount in using the blockchain. It's going to cut the fees down a little bit for you. They're supposed to be, not really something that you speculate on. Then you have like security tokens, where these security tokens, these cryptocurrencies, are backed by, say, real estate. So in other words, you could take a building in Manhattan, say it's worth $1 million, just for easy math. You could issue this security token that say there's 1 million of them. And so now you have 1 million of these little cryptocurrencies that are basically backed by this Manhattan building, and 1 million people could pay $1 and all be now owners in this building. There's all these different types. And then of course you just have, and you can speculate on those, at least in the future, where you can think, well, that building has now gone up 10%. So now each one of those tokens are $1.10, right? So there's all these, those are the 3 primary types of cryptocurrencies, and they typically run on the blockchain, and all the records are are basically transcribed in the ledger. And so that way the people that, want to look and see where everything's at, they can. Then you have private blockchains where everything is just, within the walls of your own home, and only you can see it, or only the people of this corporation can see it. But those, are like more for banking. For the general public, you're going to be seeing a lot of people use things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and such like that.
So from what I understand now, and I appreciate this good summary, you can have blockchain without crypto, because blockchain really has to do with the integrity of information, it sounds like. Blockchain is really created where this information is being distributed a bunch of different places instead of centrally housed. So like you said, in order to change and manipulate that data, you'd have to hit all these places simultaneously. I mean, from what we understand now, it's near impossible to manipulate the integrity of that data. So therefore, blockchain can be used, I don't know, millions of different purposes for that sake. I mean, it could change the whole world that we live in, because it's no longer available, and there currently really isn't an ability to come in and manipulate that data the way the blockchain is set up. And we won't talk about crypto, but is that fairly accurate? And if so, like, how are you seeing blockchain technology work now? How are other people using it outside of cryptocurrency?
Gotcha. So, outside of cryptocurrency, there's the next blockchain we can talk about a little bit is called Ethereum. So Ethereum is kind of like the upgrade to Bitcoin. It's essentially another decentralized blockchain, which hasn't been hacked. I won't get into forks and all that kind of stuff, just to keep things kind of clean and neat. But it does something that Bitcoin doesn't. So with Bitcoin, if I send you 1 Bitcoin and then I realize I screwed up and I sent it to you, but I didn't get what I bought from you. So say for instance, I bought, some of your credit suite services, and I sent you a Bitcoin and I didn't get them, there's nothing I can really do. I sent you the money, there's no coming back. But with Ethereum, it allows us to do what's called a smart contract. So essentially it's kind of like an escrow service built into the code, to where if I send you money, you don't get it unless I'm happy and I receive what it is you're going to be sending me. It's the first time that we've been able to use code to kind of create this escrow service. And that's the beginning part of it. Now we can start doing things like, I don't know, you could eliminate a lot of the things that attorneys do, because you can create these templates, these smart contracts that allow for this escrow service of sorts to basically allow conditions. So now if I want something from you and you want something from me, once all terms are met, the code will then release the funds to both parties. Or if we're not happy, the funds will be returned back to both parties or to the party that initially created the smart contract. So you can see that with things like attorneys, that'll be really useful. With things like real estate, for instance, we're always having to, rely on these third parties to take care of our documents, or title companies and things like that, where these smart contracts could replace a lot of the things that these title companies and all these real estate third party services do. And those are just a couple of the examples. I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, when you start looking at blockchain, it's kind of like in the beginning of the internet, when you say, well, what's the internet really for? And then you have a lot of the old people that are saying, oh man, it's just for nefarious criminals, it's for porn, it's for, illicit acts, and that's how the internet started. And that's kind of how blockchain kind of started taking it on the chin. There was Silk Road. People were associating Bitcoin and blockchain with, Silk Road. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but basically like nefarious acts, illicit drug deals, child porn, all kinds of crazy stuff. And then as the government started to look into blockchain, and big companies and central banks and everything else, they're all, wow, Bitcoin's bad because they can't control it. Remember, it's decentralized, but blockchain's good. So they start looking at all these different options. So, and all these different use cases. So right now, I mean, the use cases for blockchain obviously are cryptocurrency as a peer-to-peer transaction. Think about it. You can go anywhere in the world with something like the Monarch wallet, and you and only you control your funds. You don't need to ask anybody's permission to send, store, receive. You can take your money anywhere in the world and use it any way that you want. That is a pretty cool app. That is a pretty cool killer app that works right now, just the ability to be your own bank anywhere in the world. Then, like I was talking about these smart contracts, where you can start replacing attorneys and third-party, real estate stuff. That's huge as well. You got video games that are using this type of, using the blockchain. You've got, it's just so early. I mean, people are talking about cars talking to each other using the blockchain. I mean, it's really limitless, all the things that are going to happen. And over the next 5 or 10 years, it's going to be really exciting to see all the different use cases that start to unfold.
Yeah. It sounds like blockchain is really going to be a huge game changer. And I like how you described it, how even the governments are starting to see the value of blockchain, even though they're not really big fans of cryptocurrency. And you hit on that. So they're not really a big fan of cryptocurrency because it's decentralized.
They're fans of their own cryptocurrency, because then they have total control. So imagine you launch your own blockchain, and now you have limitless control. So you can print as much money as you want. And being how it's on a blockchain, they can see every transaction. They can see how much Ty has in his wallet. They can see where Ty spends his money. If Ty's a bad actor, they can freeze it. They can pull it back. There's all kinds of things that they can do if it's their blockchain. But on Bitcoin, they can't. So that's one of the reasons why I feel that they say, Bitcoin bad, blockchain good. So.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's all about control. And like you said, blockchain gives them a deeper level of view and access to information that they've never had before. So they love blockchain because they love that control and being able to have access to information. They just don't love Bitcoin per se because they can't control any of that. You talked about the difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin. So does Bitcoin make adjustments? Because Bitcoin was the original one, right? I mean, it was the very first one, I think. Is that correct?
So Bitcoin is kind of like the Kleenex to tissue paper, right? It is the OG. That is the original. There was different, iterations and variations of different types of cryptocurrencies prior to that, but none were effective. None were successful. This is the first, basically that's gained traction, that solved the double spend issues. And so, yes, Bitcoin is the OG. It is the original.
So if we look at that, now we see things like Ethereum where people have greater elements of control where they obviously would want it. Do you see Bitcoin making changes in how they work to adapt to the changes that others are doing? Or do you think Bitcoin's going to be Bitcoin and that's probably not going to change?
So, I mean, there's a couple different trains of thought here. There is what's called a core team of developers that are not paid to work on the Bitcoin blockchain, because it is public. It's open to anybody to contribute to the code. So in theory, they could make changes to Bitcoin. I hope they don't. I hope they just leave Bitcoin alone, because it needs to be stable. It needs to be trusted. And I understand it's a trustless network because you're basically trusting that you don't have to trust anybody. It's just It's out there. It's a little wonky, the idea, but you need to be able to trust that the code is solid. So I really don't want this core team of developers that are not incentivized to work on the chain to work on the chain, because if they mess something up, then it's bad for the entire world, right? Because think about it, if you have all these financial institutions that are now gravitating towards Bitcoin, adding it to their ETFs, trying to bring in investors from all over the world to start basically dumping money into Bitcoin is another asset class that people can invest in. I really don't want them screwing it up. I'd rather they just leave it alone. And for things that they want, all these other, cool toys and all these different things that they want to be able to do with blockchain, that's cool. Use one of those other blockchains. Don't mess with Bitcoin. Use Ethereum. Ethereum has, another use case that Ethereum has is they're the first ones to basically create the ability for somebody to launch their own tokens, to create their own ICO or initial coin offerings. It kind of took the world by storm in 2017, where all these people started creating, the TIE token, right? Or, they created all these different thousands and hundreds of thousands of all these different new crypto startups using an ERC20. An ERC20 is basically just an Ethereum token, because on the Ethereum network, you can create your own tokens, which means you now have a business basically, right? So that was another way that blockchain was really helpful in 2017 until into today. It allows for crowdfunding. So for people who are trying to follow what I mean, you can create your own token and you can sell those tokens as like an initial coin offering. And so it allows for crowdfunding unlike anybody's ever seen. Hundreds of millions, billions of dollars were generated in 2017, which kind of led to one of the crashes. Actually, was the overcreation of all these different tokens. But it is a mechanism that can be used, and so that is exciting. However, it can also be, for a nightmare for investors trying to figure out what's worth investing and what's not. But it's just another thing that people can do. It's another use case. It's kind of one of the ultimate crowdfunding vehicles. And I think that people should leave Bitcoin alone and focus on other blockchains for all the cool stuff that they want to do.
Well, how do you know between the others that are out there which works best? I mean, this is obviously your specialty, but coming into it, there's a lot of them out there, and I'm not familiar with them. So let's maybe start there. What are some of the options that are out there when it comes to crypto, and how does somebody even begin to go about figuring out which is the right one for them?
Yeah, so that's kind of a tough question there, right? So there's literally thousands of different blockchains and cryptocurrencies. However, most blockchains are simply a copy of Bitcoin or Ethereum. I mean, that's the truth, because they can fork. So basically they just make a copy of a public blockchain and make it private. Or they take a public blockchain like Ethereum, make a copy of it, and then make it public on their own servers or on their user servers across the world. And so when you look back, you're like, okay, well, most of these blockchains are essentially either Bitcoin or Ethereum. And then you do have some different iterations where, like a guy named Dan Larimer made his own blockchain of sorts called EOS. And so they all follow pretty much the same fundamental principles. So if you're really looking at a blockchain use case for your company or something like that, there's different things out there, but you kind of need to look and see what it is you want to do. Is it something that if you're a business, do you really want your records public? Do you want people to be able to see your transactions? Do you want people to see your vendor list? Do you want to see, what's going on within the walls of your company? Most people really don't need a blockchain if that's what they're, looking for, right? They need a database. They just need to, they can just decentralize their databases, encrypt their databases, things like that. Most businesses don't need a blockchain. They would use an existing blockchain for specific services. So if you're looking at it as far as an investment, well, then you need to be very, very careful, because crypto is extremely volatile. And I never recommend people put any money in the crypto market that they're not willing to absolutely lose, because it's extremely volatile. It's still very new. But I would start looking at the top 20 cryptocurrencies. You can go on my webpage, it's cryptobeadles.com, and there's a little tab that says prices. It lists all the different cryptocurrency prices right there. And if you look at, say, the top 20, I would say that they dive in and do a bunch of research on those and see if any of those goals, align with, what they're looking to invest in. And if so, then they need to research a lot and then talk to somebody that's, financial planner, financial advisor, and see if it makes sense for them to throw money in it. But there's just so many different, cryptocurrencies out there. They all have different, value propositions. They need to figure out what aligns best with their investment strategies or whatnot before they just start throwing money at stuff.
Is this some of the stuff that you teach on? Because you provide a bunch of education. So where does
I
your
never teach
education lie? I
invest.
mean, is this the
Yeah.
kind of stuff where you can guide somebody with your education on which ones are the better ones to choose?
Yeah, I mean, if you go to cryptobeadles.com, there's all my different social medias right there. And if you go to our YouTube channel, for instance, there's 500, 600 different videos on all these different projects, lots of different blockchains. So it's a good starting place for them. I wrote a book called the Bitcoin Blockchain Booklet. There's another, it's like 99 cents on Amazon. There's another good starting point for them. But I never teach investing strategies because crypto is just, like I said, so volatile. People make hundreds of millions of dollars, people make millions of dollars, people lose everything. It's kind of like the stock market on steroids. Right now, it's kind of like penny stocks. Like, oh, wow, this stuff is so cheap. If it only went to $1, but then they get wiped out because they invested in some, fly-by-night crypto, or, the crypto project just couldn't deliver, or, bad news from regulators hits, and that all the cryptos out there just plummet in value. So there's a lot to, investing in this stuff. And so I never, ever give financial investment advice. That's something that they need to talk to a financial planner or advisor about. But if they want to learn more about, crypto, that's what we're about. I started this channel just with my kid for friends and family, did a couple videos just to kind of show them how to navigate the crypto waters. And then it took off and they wanted a bunch more. And now we're, I guess, number 5 in the world for on YouTube for crypto. We have a TV show and all that kind of cool stuff. So there's all kinds of information there for them. And it's always free.
So where are you seeing blockchain? Man, excuse me. I threw out a rib last night and the thing is pressing against my lung. So I got it fixed, but it still like sometimes takes my breath away. So if you see me just lose my breath, that's exactly what's happening. And I've got to like shallow my breathing. So blockchain, where are you seeing crypto and blockchain now be used? Where can I use cryptocurrency? And I know there's millions of places. You can't list them all, right? But what I want to show is that this acceptance of this as being a valid form of payment. Because, years ago it wasn't. And now it's grown tremendously. So where are you starting to see crypto really be able to be used that, wasn't years ago?
Yeah. So there's, if you download the Monarch wallet, which is a decentralized wallet, it's something myself and a team created. There's a little button down at the bottom that says like ATM. So you can see all the different, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency ATMs in the United States. There's also a thing called purse.io, where if you go to purse.io, using cryptocurrency, you can actually save up to like 35% on your Amazon orders just by using cryptocurrency. So for people that use Amazon a lot, you can save up to like 35% of your money just using cryptocurrency to buy the stuff that you normally buy on Amazon. It's pretty cool. There's over 10,000 locations. If you just type in, I think like Bitcoin acceptance locations, there's all kinds of websites out there that show you the tens of thousands of places that accept cryptocurrency now. There's even people, let's see, what is it, Ohio or something like that is accepting, Bitcoin for tax payments. So you're seeing more of these cities and states accepting cryptocurrency just to pay your tax bill. There's auto dealers. You can buy, like Lamborghinis or your Toyota or whatever in crypto. We've created Monarch Pay for vendors. And why would it even matter, right? Why would you want to accept cryptocurrency if you're a merchant? Well, think about it. If you're a merchant, say an online merchant, we'll just keep it easier, and you accept Visa or PayPal, any of these types of services, they have high fees, right? You can be paying 3%. If you're part of Patreon, I don't know, like up to like 60%, tons of fees. Then if, say for instance, I'm a merchant and I sell this shirt to somebody, if they use a credit card, they could pay me for it. I could send it to them. Then they call their credit card company and say, hey, I never paid for that shirt. That wasn't me. The credit card company charges me back, takes the money right out of my wallet, and the dude keeps the shirt. So chargebacks are kind of, they're an issue for a lot of people, stores, online merchants. Then you have things like PayPal, where you hear about PayPal that just kind of freeze your account for whatever reason. They may say that you're not a good actor or whatnot. They just freeze your account. Now you have no access to your money. If you're a small business, that's the lifeblood of your business, is you need money, right? So with Monarch Pay, it uses blockchain, it uses crypto, it uses stable coins. So that way the merchant doesn't have to worry about the volatility of the cryptocurrency. They are paying less than 1% fees. They don't ever have to worry about chargebacks because it's just one way. Once the money is sent, there's no bringing it back. And guess what? It's decentralized. So you don't have to worry about, Monarch or anybody ever, holding your funds or locking you out of your accounts. So that alone right there is just an amazing use case for cryptocurrency, and the fact that you don't have to worry about high fees, chargebacks, or clawbacks, or even worry about your account getting frozen or locked out. And that's tremendously valuable for merchants. And then for the customers, they save a bunch of money. They save money using crypto. It allows them the ability to transact in seconds. If you're say just a regular person and you want to send money to mom, or you want to send money to your friend in another state or another country, you try to wire money, it can sometimes take a week, 2 weeks, depending on where you're sending it. With cryptocurrency, I could send you some crypto right now and you'd have it in a few seconds. So it's borderless. You can send it anywhere in the world, and only you and you control it alone. So there's so many use cases for it just right there alone, that everything else is just kind of like icing on the cake.
So we've talked a lot about theory of crypto and blockchain, but let's talk about really from a business perspective, because everybody that's watching this are entrepreneurs. So our company, we sell a software called the Business Finance Suite, helps people get fundability, business credit, et cetera, et cetera. So let's say we sell our software for $3,000. Let's say that a CEO, I say, you know what, let's get into this. Let's start accepting cryptocurrency, which is something we've never done. A lot of entrepreneurs can relate to this exact same idea. So now I open it up. How do I do that? How as a company do I start accepting this kind of cryptocurrency? And then what does it look like for me to cash out per se? Because typically you pay me with dollars and then it goes through my merchant account, right? And then my merchant account distributes that money in my bank account. So how does this process look if I just say, okay, let's start accepting cryptocurrency? How does it work for me to be able to do so? And then how does it work for me to be able to get the cash in my bank account like I'm used to happening automatically with accepting credit cards?
Cool. So that's one of the reasons why we created Monarch Pay. So if you go to monarchpay.com, depending on how fast you type, within 30 seconds to a couple minutes, you'd be all set up. There's no setup fees, any of that kind of stuff. And like I said, it's less than 1%. And this isn't something that replaces your credit card. This isn't something that replaces your bank. This isn't something that replaces PayPal or Stripe. It's just an additional way to receive money. So for people that want to start accepting cryptocurrency, this allows you to start doing that. So essentially, you go to monarchpay.com, you fill it out, it'll create basically a link. And depending on when this video airs, it's going to be a lot better in the next, probably 2-3 weeks. It's going to be more like a PayPal experience, super simple for people to use. They won't have to understand how blockchain works. But when you put these, this link or whatnot, this little widget in your website, people will be able to pay for your services for whatever the amount is in crypto. If it's a reoccurring transaction, well, guess what? We figured that out too. So we actually created reoccurring payment transactions in blockchain to where each month, say your service is $9 a month, it'll come right out of their wallet and go right into your wallet. And you can turn it on or turn it off. The user can turn it on or turn it off whenever they want as well. So you both still have complete control. And it's completely decentralized. And all these reoccurring payments just happen until either one of you decides to stop it. And again, this is just an additional way to take payments. So now you have to look at kind of the big picture here. So if the whole goal is to get cryptocurrency and then to cash out into fiat, you're kind of missing the purpose of cryptocurrency. We're going to this digital world, kind of like where it started off trading chickens, and then we had, silver coins, and then we had, you had paper money, and then you had checkbooks, and you had credit cards, and now you're seeing this evolution towards digital currency. So if you're constantly thinking about, okay, I've got, say, TUSD, which is a stable token in cryptocurrency worth $1. So I've got $1 million in TUSD. I want to cash it out and put it in my bank account. And then I want this paper money. I mean, you can do that, and you can hook up your bank account to Monarch Pay and be able to do that. So, but then there's always conversion fees, right? So if you're going from a crypto back to paper money, there's a conversion fee from the banks. They need to get paid, right? There's no getting around that. But if you're able to start paying your bills and your people in these stable tokens, well, guess what? Now there's like next to no fees. So you don't have to worry about like all those banking fees and conversion fees. So if you start using cryptocurrency to like pay your employees, pay your vendors, start small. Maybe just a couple of your vendors want to be paid in crypto. Then you guys aren't worrying about any of these conversion fees. It allows for lightning fast transactions, no chargebacks, all those cool things that I talked about earlier. But if you want to cash it out into back into fiat, back into USD, there's ways to do that. You just hook up your bank account right there using our third-party service through Monarch Pay, and you can take your stable coins or stable tokens and cash out, and the money will go back into your bank account if you want to do that. But then it usually costs, the conversion fees there can range between 1 to like 2%. So it adds up. But if you just keep it in stable tokens, you start paying some vendors small, you're saving all that money. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and keep in mind that if I accept a credit card, I still pay a 2 to 5% fee to the merchant account, right? So,
sure. But that's because you have to. Yeah. But if you start paying people in crypto, you don't have to anymore. It changes the game. That's all that money. That's your vacation fund. That's your new CMO fund or your CFO fund. All that money you save in all these transactions. If you're able to just start paying, vendors and employees and people like that in crypto, guess what? You're saving a ton of money.
Which is very accurate. I mean, one of the largest expenses we have as a company is merchant fees, right? So, and then, like you said, there's all kinds of problems. I mean, I have, just as an example, I have a buddy that just lost over $11,000 because one of his clients has decided that 6 months worth of work he was going to claim didn't happen, right? And even though the guy supplied the contracts and all the proof that it did, that one person at the merchant account company hits the one button that says no, and he just worked for somebody for 6 months and the guy ripped him off. And that can happen with merchant accounts. It happens all the time in our world. So this even offers an extra layer of protection. Well, then what do I do? So now I have this in my wallet. Then do I have to ask other people if they accept this kind of currency, and they have to accept cryptocurrency for me to be able to use it to pay them, correct?
Okay. Yes. If you want to dive in and start using cryptocurrency, I suggest you start kind of small. Start with a few vendors. Have people that are kind of forward thinking, that realize that this is the way of the future. This is the way that we're all heading. And then you kind of start small. Maybe it might be difficult with employees in the beginning, but it wouldn't be with vendors. And the money that you say, for instance, the money that you start accepting from people that want to pay you in Bitcoin, or they want to pay you in stable tokens, if you're already spending money on Amazon, well, now you can use that crypto to buy stuff on Amazon and save 35%. So now not only are you saving a couple percent in conversion fees and transaction fees and worried about all the chargebacks, well, now you're saving 35% on your freaking Amazon bill on top of that. It ranges, it can be like 15 to 35%. It's a lot of money. It adds up really quick. So it becomes really attractive to merchants because it allows them even more ways to save money, and it gives them total control to where, just like your friend that lost $11,000, that's impossible in blockchain. That won't happen. And if you're worried about, okay, well, the flip side of that is, well, what if I'm the customer and I sent them my money and I really didn't get it? What then? So then there's a couple things you can do. You can use smart contracts as that escrow service I was talking about, which basically removes the third party. It adds basically the software that decides when and who gets paid based on all the terms and conditions. And those will always just automatically happen. Or just like a regular business, right? If you have a business, you know that bad news travels a heck of a lot faster than good news. And if you start screwing your customers over, that business doesn't last. So it's just kind of like, kind of like the rating system on eBay or any of these other things, or like Yelp. If a merchant starts screwing over their customers, people find out usually pretty quick. So you can just do it the old trustless way, where they send crypto, there's no way for them to get it back, or you put smart contracts in place. So I just thought I'd throw that out there for some of the merchants that are kind of wondering about, oh, what about the customer? So, oh, lost audio. I think you hit the mute button.
That was my bad. That's what happens when you hit the mute button. And just so you know, the mute button works. I just wanted to do a quick test, and it works just fine.
Yes, it works.
So this is really important conversation, because that's really what I want to see happen here, is that I think you and I are both on the same page that accepting cryptocurrency is the future. And the more people we get into that, the easier it is for all of us. It's kind of like electric cars. I mean, people are afraid of electric cars because there's not enough stations, right? So it's the same thing here. But I think people are afraid to accept crypto because there's not enough places that they can use the cryptocurrency to buy what they need to buy. Amazon's a great example, though, because, who doesn't buy anything on Amazon? I mean, it's the number one retailer probably in the world when it comes to buying anything.
Same-day delivery of food. I mean, Prime is pretty crazy, right? So, I mean, not only do you get same-day delivery of food in a lot of different cities, but pretty much anything and everything that you want to buy for the most part is on Amazon, comes right to your door. Jeff Bezos, man, what a smart guy.
Really smart guy. So let's talk about Bitcoin, because I think another one of the fears that people have is a losing of value. So I come in, you pay me let me ask that. I mean, so the product's $3,000. then how do you pay? How many Bitcoins do you just, it's $3,000 in American dollars, then is somebody just paying with the equivalent current value of Bitcoin that's equivalent to 3,000 in US cash? That might be, I don't know how much a Bitcoin is worth right now, but X amount of Bitcoins equals $3,000. They pay that X amount of Bitcoin that's equivalent to US $3,000. Is that how that would work?
Yeah, so this is where you kind of get controversial with the hardcore crypto crowd, and then people like me that sees the utility of it as well as where we're heading with it. So a lot of people say just to use Bitcoin, but as a merchant and as a customer, I think it's silly. And the reason why I say that is, would you use your Apple stock to buy coffee? Would you cash out? Would Ty use his Apple stock to buy coffee or to buy toilet paper or to pay for anything? Probably not, right? You're probably not going to use your stocks. And when I look at cryptocurrencies, I think of them as stocks. They're typically, the only reason why people are in crypto for the most part right now, I would say 90-something%, is because they're expecting these mad gains. They're expecting the speculation. They're expecting these things to be like stocks and be worth more in the future. So why would anybody use those to pay for goods and services? Most likely they won't. There's a small percentage of people that do, and those are people that live in like Venezuela or these poverty-stricken countries that are having massive inflation issues. But what people will use is dollars, right? You don't worry about using a dollar to pay for coffee. You're not worried that that dollar is going to be worth more in the future. So this is where stable coins and stable tokens really come in. So that is where you would take your fiat money and you would put it into something like a TUSD, which is basically just a stable coin that says that it's worth $1. There's $1 of fiat money behind this. That is what people should be using, merchants should be using, so they don't have to worry about the volatility and they don't have to worry about the conversion. Because like you said, if Bitcoin, let's just say for easy math, it's $10,000 and you want to spend $1 for a coffee, well, how do you do that? Well, they got things called Satoshis and you're like, okay, crap, what is this? Well, there's 100 million Satoshis, per Bitcoin, right? Like, oh my God, what is the conversion on that? It starts getting really wonky really quick. And so it's supposed to be used as digital cash, but with the volatility and with the speculation driven into it, people aren't really using it for money. They're using it just as an Apple stock. So why not use stable coins and stable tokens that are worth $1? Everybody knows how to divide them, right? So 10 cents worth of a dollar stable token, 10 cents. So that's what merchants and customers should be using. So that way it takes the volatility out, takes conversion out, and people have no problem spending it.
Beadles, great stuff. I mean, what I like is that we didn't just dive into crypto and blockchain. We really talked about user cases where this could actually work for entrepreneurs. And they could really open up a lot of opportunities. I mean, as digital currency becomes more popular, more people are looking for people that accept the digital currency to be able to spend the digital currency that they have. So if you're an early adopter and you're a company that's doing this right, then you're able to come in and be there. We're one of the people that people want to pay because you accept this kind of cryptocurrency. So great stuff. As we wrap up, anything else that I haven't asked that I should ask for everybody watching to be able to get a better understanding of cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, or understand really how to get started with this, whether it be using it or even accepting it as a business? Or anything we left out that we should still cover?
Yeah, so I mean, if people want to know how to get started, it's very simple. You can go to cryptobeadles.com. There's links to all my socials right there. If you want to try this out, go download the Monarch wallet. It's on Android, it's on Apple. It's free. You'll basically be a walking, talking bank anywhere in the world. If you're a merchant and you want to start using cryptocurrency, just go to monarchpay.com. And depending on when this airs, it's going to be a lot better, because right now it still has some blockchain nuance to it that makes it a little wonky for people that are new to crypto. But in the next few weeks to a month, it's going to be kind of like the PayPal experience, to where they don't really have to understand how crypto or blockchain works. It's going to be really, really awesome. So those would be some really good ways for people to get started. Like I said, we got content there. It's all free. They don't have to pay for any of the videos. They have to pay for any of the information. All the socials are there. And Monarch is a great way for them to get going as well. So that way they can kind of dip their toes in the water and start playing around with it.
Beadles, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Ty. Appreciate it, buddy.
So for anybody that's followed me, you kind of know how I got here. I became very passionate about business credit and went out and realized there wasn't information about it and started just educating and providing tons of free information. And then as a result, listening to my audience and create products that make sense. That's exactly what Beadles has done for cryptocurrency, right? This isn't someone that says, wow, I'm going to come in and take advantage of this huge wave of interest in cryptocurrency. He actually started this for his family, for his friends, to get a better understanding, and has built a business around helping other people understand how this works. And it all happens at cryptobeadles.com. So cryptobeadles.com, that's crypto Beadles, Beadles. At cryptobeadles.com, there's just tons of free content, free information that explains almost anything you could possibly want to know regarding blockchain and cryptocurrency. Then as a result of all this information and all the feedback, Beadles has been able to then roll out and create services and products that actually helps all of us, because he's listening to all of us and he's giving this free information and education and content too. So there's so many resources that you can get there for free. And you can also look into Monarch and many of the things that they're doing over there to really be able to make this acceptable to use cryptocurrency, but to also accept it as entrepreneurs. And as we talked about here, when you can do that as a business owner and be on the forefront, then you become somebody that attracts a whole new wave, the future of digital money, and it makes it much easier for your customers to pay you. And just the same as restaurants that don't accept credit cards. Have you ever walked into one of those that only accepts cash and you think, how do they survive? That's ultimately what's going to happen for all of us in business. So you could kind of be on the forefront and go to cryptobeadles.com to learn what needs to be learned, to start accepting this and get on this wave, or kind of fall behind. And those people that fall behind don't usually have longevity in business. So go to cryptobeadles.com. There's a tons of free content, tons of free information there. So you could do both. Start understanding blockchain and crypto to be able to actually go use it, and to also be able to accept it as a business owner and be at the forefront of something that will be the future of how we actually accept money. So thanks everybody for tuning in. The action item, the step to take, is go to cryptobeadles.com. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.
God bless.